Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're digging into a story that was pretty much lost for a whole century. We're talking about the secret history of a novel and the real-life adventure that kicked it all off. Our story kicks off with a bang, literally. Imagine this, a man, a soldier, making this wild, desperate escape, tumbling head over heels down a treacherous mountain pass, with bullets whizzing past his ears. So you have to ask, who is this guy, and why in the world is he running for his life? But even more interesting, what's the secret story behind this fictional adventure? A secret that actually took over 100 years to come to light. Okay, so to get the secret, first you gotta get the story. Let's jump into the world of Peter the Renegade and meet our hero. The year is 1808. The scene is set during the absolutely brutal Peninsular War in Spain. Our main guy, Scoutmaster Peter Blake, makes a terrible, drunken mistake while he's carrying critical dispatches, and now he's on the run from his own army, which, back in those days, was pretty much a death sentence. But here's the thing, Peter Blake isn't your average soldier. Nope, he's a soldier of fortune, a brilliant scholar who speaks a ton of languages, and, a pretty dashing fighter who can get himself out of any jam. But right now, his best skill has to be survival, because he is officially a renegade. And that right there, that's where the story behind the story really begins. Because the man who dreamed up Peter Blake, well, he had a pretty big secret of his own. So this action-packed adventure, it was called Peter the Renegade. And it was the very last thing written by a popular Scottish author, S.R.Crockett. Thing is, he never actually saw it in print. The story was only published in a magazine series after he died in April 1914, just as the entire world was about to plunge into a very, very different kind of war. If you look at Crockett's final years, it all starts to make sense. He was born in Scotland, but he spent a lot of his later years traveling all over Spain. He was looking for a warmer climate for his health, sure, but he was also searching for inspiration. He ended up dying in France in April 1914. And just 6 months later, his last adventure started appearing in print back home. And he wasn't just, a tourist. Crockett dove right into the local culture. In one of his letters, he actually jokes that his friends are chiefly smugglers and bandits. He was soaking up the exact kind of material that would make the world of Peter the Renegade feel so real. And all that material he was gathering, it wasn't just for local flavor. See, Crockett was a master at weaving real historical events right into his fiction, blurring those lines between what really happened and what was just a great adventure story. The novel is just jam-packed with these direct links to real history. The real, brutal retreat of the British Army under Sir John Moore, that's what sparks Peter Blake's desertion. The actual Spanish guerrilla fighters of the era, they become the model for the band of fighters Peter leads. He even has his hero, Peter Blake, claim he's related to a real-life historical officer named Joaquin Blake. Crockett knew exactly what he was up to. When somebody asked him about his process, he just put it bluntly, "I mix those babies up." He was a master at it, blurring the lines so well that you're left wondering where reality stops and the adventure starts. But this story, this final secret from a forgotten author, it could have easily just vanished forever. And it would have, if not for a group of, modern-day literary heroes. For about 100 years, Peter the Renegade only existed in the pages of some old, dusty magazines. But then, this group of really dedicated volunteers, they called themselves the Galloway Raiders, which is a cool nod to one of Crockett's most famous books, they took on this enormous project to bring all of his work into the digital age. And the scale of what they did is just staggering. Over 10 years, the small team re-edited and digitized 66 of S.R. Crockett's other books, which means that Peter the Renegade became the 67th and final piece of his life's work to be saved from being forgotten. And their process was so careful. They didn't just scan the old pages, no way. They painstakingly re-edited and reformatted every single book. They put together a complete digital edition. They even built an online museum. And here's the best part. Because of them, all of these books, including Peter the Renegade, are now available for anybody to download, completely free. So, okay, we've spent all this time on one renegade soldier and one author who's been mostly forgotten. Why? What's the real takeaway here? The journey of Peter the Renegade is just amazing when you think about it. It goes from an author's final spark of inspiration in Spain, to a magazine series published after his death, to its rediscovery a full century later by this passionate group of volunteers. It's really this powerful example of how pure dedication, when you combine it with modern technology, can literally pull our shared cultural history back from the brink of being lost forever. It all leads to this final, pretty fascinating question, doesn't it? A question about art and what we leave behind. What is the ultimate fate of a story? Is it just to be a bestseller, a flash in the pan? Or is it something else? Maybe Crockett himself, in one of his other books, actually answered that question best. Maybe the greatest success isn't just about massive applause. Maybe it's about being loved greatly and constantly by a dedicated few, people just like the Galloway Raiders, who make sure that a good story and all the secrets behind it are never ever truly forgotten.